Good evening. Is it really Friday? That's what my computer says. 3/17/2023. St. Patrick's Day. Not Irish. What am I doing tonight to celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Nothing. Nothing. I'm not wearing green. Don't pinch me. That would be assault. I'm not in the spirit of. I'm not in the spirit of St. Patrick's Day. It's just not going to happen this year. After all, I've got all of you, my trusty, loyal viewers. Why would I need anything else? How are you tonight? I mean, it's 9 o'clock Central Time. Oh, my God. I swear there's these gnats that come and invade my space. I've killed like 4 of them already, and they're just attacking. It's a terrible thing. I'm going to try and pretend like it's not going to happen during the broadcast, but I've already seen one come over, so. And they always come at my screen. I've got like lights and things of that nature. They don't ever attack there. They literally go right at my screen. Just to go off on a tangent, like I need a little bit of assistance. I have there's a couple things. One, I don't like the way oh my God, there's another one. All right, I'm going to pretend that I didn't see him. There's 2 now. I'm going to pretend that I didn't see that, but I'm concerned that people don't like my backdrop, that perhaps they don't like the bluish wall. Now, this is very in my business, but maybe it's not in for streaming. And so I also don't like the way I look. I feel like I feel like there's too much light around me and not on me. But again, the bald head thing, I mean, if I put a light above me and don't have it diffused right, it's going to be like a disaster. But I guess I'd like your opinion. Do you want me to go more streamer oriented? I'm thinking about like there's black backgrounds I can get. I'm not going to paint the wall because it just doesn't seem right. Paint the wall black. And then, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the alternate colors. So people do like orange and blue. I'll do it. I'm thinking about it. I'm just looking for like your opinion. So you let me know about that. Okay. I mean, I don't know that many of you take me seriously. Anyway, I would just like to, I don't know. I just like my space, and I thought that asking you might be a good thing. Now, you may say, what have I stumbled on? Well, this is the Deerwood Realty live stream. I'm John Schenk. I'm the broker. I'm the broker. What am I? I'm the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a small real estate firm, residential mostly. We help buyers buy homes and sellers sell theirs. We're so small that it's just me. I know. I just don't like to be parts of big organizations. I like to be on my own. So that's what I do. At night we do the Deerwood Realty live stream. We've done it like, I don't know how many days in a row we've done it. I'm going to count for you because I'm kind of intrigued by it myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 in a row. Now, let's be fair. I was off for like 3 weeks. Didn't go well. Lost my computer. My new computer I'm loving. And that brings me to my next issue. I'm going to look because I care. You're going to have to bear with me because you're just kind of here. There's a lot going on behind the scenes right now. I can't really explain it all at once. I don't mean that there's a lot going on like there's drama, but there's confusion. I am so befuddled by this. I would like to have everyone's opinion, since you all know this program better than I do. Like, I've been putting out shorts lately, and I've been doing very well for me. I have over 500 views on one of the shorts, and I'm happy about it. I'm like, this is cool, thanks. But I put out a short today, and I'm just confused because I've never had such a failure on something that I actually worked on. I put out a short at, I don't know, probably 3 o'clock this afternoon. It was me in a spacesuit talking about like tips to buy a home, 3. And it was stupid. And I wanted it to be stupid. I think like the fact that you would listen to somebody on the internet about like your particular situation is vastly different than what the person is thinking on the other side. And the idea that you would use that as your standalone tip to buy a house is just, I think it's hilarious. Hilarious. But the video got released. There were 3 likes on it. There's only 3 views. So 100%. Everyone watched through the whole thing, and it's not getting any traction. There's only 3 views on it. And the way it's going, it's going to be the worst. It's going to be the worst video I've had, the worst short I've had in a long time. Now, you may say, well, John, what about last night's live stream? Well, it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. I don't know what the algorithm does. Like sometimes it's my friend and sometimes it's not. Clearly, it wasn't my friend last night. 4 views of my live stream, like total. I'm not blaming you. I'm just trying to explain to you what I see and how befuddled I am. I can't imagine how I could have a short. Like, I'm calling shenanigans, okay? I'm calling shenanigans. How do you have a short that has 3 likes, only 3 views, and it doesn't get distributed? I feel like YouTube was like, oh my God, you got more than 2 subscribers over the past 3 months. We need to slow this down. Like, hold on. We can't have you being monetized, like, because that would be just terrible. I'm just looking at my hands now because I think they're backwards. No, this is my right hand, but you're seeing it on the left-hand side. I could change this, but I'm not going to. It's Friday night. I want to bring it down a number of levels, the intensity level very far down. It's Friday night. I just want to bring it down. But I don't have that ability. I can't relax. Although that one time I fell asleep on a stream. Anyway, the topics we're going to talk about tonight might be agitating. Okay, so let's go over a couple other things because I just want to get them out. Number 1, had some clown in my comment section on my videos. They said they want to have a pinned. Can they be pinned as far as the comment section? Like, so can they be the number 1 person? I'm like, who are you and why? You didn't even subscribe to me. And this is true in sales. Look, if you want me to be your friend, you do something that indicates you like me. So, for example, like if you're a mortgage broker, okay, and you have somebody that's looking for a property in St. Louis, Missouri, and you want to get on my good side, and we've talked in the past, send them my way. That will definitely show me that you're interested in doing work with me. Don't just talk with me. Don't just come to my open house, okay? I really don't want that. I've never met you, and you're going to come to my open house. You send me a lead. Send me a real warm lead, and I will remember you for the rest of my life because it doesn't happen very often. And when it does happen, I reward those people down the road. So that's one thing. That's the problem with reciprocity in this day and age. People don't get it. They don't understand it. It's like if I'm giving you a bunch of business and you never give me any business, but you give it to my friend, like that's another real estate agent, then we can't work together on anything, on any business. I cannot, if you can't help me, I can't help you. And it has to be demonstrated. It's not just, I will do this in the future. It doesn't work that way. Now you say, well, John, does that mean that all of your lenders have given you leads in the past and that's why you use them? No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm not interested in somebody starting a new business relationship with someone who doesn't understand reciprocity. And if you want to get my attention, That would be a way to do it. You say, are you paying for leads, John? No, I'm not paying for leads. No, I can hardly handle the ones I have. So, but I did want to put that out there. I don't know why. I don't even know why. I don't even know. See, I've lost my train of thought. I don't know what we were talking about to start. Oh, well, then there's a second issue. I don't know what the first issue was, but bear with me. I'm a bit of a boomer, and I got a second monitor. And I got it because I want to be on Rumble, and I want to be able to have the chat up on Rumble so that I can read the chat while I'm doing my work over here. See, over on my main screen, I can pull the chat from a couple of places, like around, like, so we're streaming on the website, Deerwood Realty and Friends.com. We're streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on YouTube, and we're streaming on Twitter. Okay. Those all go through StreamYard. But if I do Rumble, that's RTMP. And if I did locals, that's RTMP. I'm not doing either one of those because my locals account is so pathetic that no one even knows I'm there. And my Rumble, I need your help. I'm at 17 followers. I need to be at 25 to stream over on Rumble. So I'd really like it if you went over there. Now, somebody did. You may say, John, are you really following one follower doing something for it? Yes. Could say, John, just make up 7 email addresses, get them over there, and then you'll be at 25, or I'm sorry, 8. Yeah, but I don't want to set up 8 fake email addresses. That's a pain in the butt. That's kind of cheating the spirit of the rule. So I don't really want to do that. I will, but I don't want to. And I'm kind of tapped out on family. So I don't, it's not a good plan there to go. Anyway, I remember. So this guy, yeah. So why does this guy want to be a pinned tweet? You tell me in the comments or the chat. Why does this guy want to have the pinned comment in my videos? That's the first time anybody's ever asked for that. But he didn't subscribe. So I'm just not doing it. If you subscribe, would that make you? Would I pin your comment? It depends on who you are. Like there's 2 fellows, and I don't know that they're fellows. But they're on my live streams. They come on every once in a while. No, there's 3. There's 3 people. They come on my live stream. They chat. If they wanted to have a pin comment on one, I would go right away. Wouldn't think anything of it. They're great people. Anybody else? I don't know you. So on these screens, I don't really know how I'm going to do it. I'm not used to it, and so. Let's take a moment. It's Friday. 13 minutes in. Let me just say this. Look, I did not realize how much better computers had gotten in the past decade. Because, I mean, my computer was relatively fast when I wasn't streaming. It just wasn't good at anything. Should have been my clue. But when my tech friend said, hey, man, you might want to consider getting a new monitor, I was like, well, I've already got a 1080p monitor. And he was laughing at me. And I was like, it's 27 inches. And he's like, yeah, we've moved on. And so I bought a monitor on his recommendation. It's a 32-inch, 165 hertz refresh rate gaming monitor that's just gorgeous. And that's my main monitor. And I managed to get a monitor stand where I can have up to three 32-inch monitors, which is ridiculous. But I put my 27-inch vertically next to it, and it's nice. I don't have any room. I don't have enough room on my desk to put in another monitor, or else I probably would. I mean, if you think about it, like I don't need the thing I didn't think about was I might play some games. Okay, I might. I mean, I've got a 4070 Ti. I'm running a 13.6 Intel, i5 overclocked. I've got a DDR5 board. I mean, if I want to play games, I can probably play some pretty good. Now you may say, well, John, somebody else has a 4090 card. Well, that's fine. I get it. Okay. But you have to understand, I'm not the worst card in the world. Okay. And I've got some computing power here. So I might play some games, and I've been looking into it. I haven't really, it's been so long. But I didn't realize, like, I need a main monitor to play games. I now have it. And that means that I have this monitor, and like the other monitors don't have to be. This was a 2K monitor. I didn't go to a 4K monitor because they were in the thousands of dollars for 32-inch, and that seemed like a bit much. But the 27-inch 1080 next to it looks very sharp for like everything else. But I don't have enough room on my desk. We just talked about it. The background right now, I'm thinking about changing. I like what I have here, but I would like kind of a different color, I think, because if I do the blue and the orange, it might I don't know how it's going to look. I'm kind of intrigued. Anyway, if I do that, then you know what? I'm thinking in my head, like, how much would it cost to paint the wall? How much is a gallon of paint? Does anybody know? I'm going to go. They say, well, you'd probably say, like, John, well, how many cans of paint do you need? Well, I'm going to go to Home Depot. I'm just going to look. And I'm not, let's not get started on the, you know. All right, we got paint. And I would like black. I'm just going to go with bare. And I'm going to go with something like black lacquer. I like it. Buy paint. $45 a gallon for paint. Now, I feel like, ooh, it is satin. I feel like that would be good. Oh, that's an exterior. I don't know. I mean, it's in stock, though. I could have it right away. $45 for that. Or I could buy a 10 by 20 like thing. Screen. What should I do? I feel like the fabric would kind of take in the color easier. But I also feel like it would be wrinkled. And I would have to unwrinkle it. My wife is pretty good at that kind of stuff. I don't know. And it would get dirty, but so is the wall going to get dirty. I don't know. Well, what do you think? Put it in the comments, put it in the chat. Let me know. Now, because of this new monitor, we have issues. One, my wife's picture is no longer on my desk. I need a new desk. I mean, my desk is out of space with this. I don't need another monitor, but I'm considering one because they're pretty cool. But it doesn't have to be a 4K. It doesn't even have to be a 2K. It just be 1080p. And I've got my gaming monitor right in front of me, which is where you want it. But I don't have my wife's picture. I used to have 2 pictures of my wife on my desk. Now I have none. I'm not happy about it. I feel like I'm a lucky person for being married. But here's the problem. See, I just reached over there. My drink, I used to have it. It's Friday. We have to relax. I used to have it like right here. And then the screen I don't like things covering the screen, so then I moved it to over here, and that's where another screen is. But then now there's no space there, so I've got to put it on the other side of my computer, which is on the other side of my arm. Now, if you watch, what's his name? Ludwig. We're going with that. He can move his microphone around. He's like all about, moving it around. And I don't know if that makes better video. I don't know if that makes for better video. My arm is not that great. And I like the EV20 right in front of me. Like, we fought for how long to get that in order? Long time. I'm happy with it here. I feel like I'm bringing you a pretty good picture. You let me know. But anyway, I thought that stuff should get better so that, more people would watch. Nobody's watching. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But anyway, yeah, $45. $45 for a can of paint or just paint it. The problem is if you just paint black, like the next time you want to paint your wall, not going to happen. You're going to have to paint it twice. When I was a kid, I wanted to, and I guess this is something that's like coming at me. When I was a kid, I wanted to paint my wall black in my room, the whole room black. But my mom was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not going to happen. No. And I listened because that's who I am. Let's get into the show tonight. I'm going to veer off what I normally talk about a little bit. And you may feel like uncomfortable. And that's okay. But I want to talk about something that I saw in the news today as the Google Trends. And we're gonna just do it. We're gonna talk about it, and hopefully you guys will understand. I feel, in some ways, we don't have free speech on YouTube. I mean, that's obvious. It's possible that the reason why I don't have as many showings or as many as, well, we don't even know if I don't have as many impressions anymore because they got rid of impressions. So I don't even know. But we don't have free speech, but I feel like there's times when I think that I should speak out, because maybe it helps someone. That's where I'm at. And if I get booted off of YouTube, you guys know where I'm at. And it's not like there's a lot of you. I'm not to be mean, but I mean we don't have a very big following, so. Here we go. I wanted to talk about this. I just want to make sure you can see it first. And I'm going to do it this way because I think that this is going to be much better for if I cut things. Okay, like here's the thing. Like who am I as a person? One, I value human life. Very much so. I want the least amount of people in the world to be killed. Least. At all times. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I accept that as humans, we suffer. And I don't like that. And sitting in what was the number one country in the world, with a lot of stuff, and realizing the rest of the world isn't so lucky, it's a powerful thing, because we don't see the real suffering that goes on throughout the rest of the world. So I don't like suffering. I value human life. Number three, I expect nothing less than evil to rear its ugly head in the world. I believe in the concept of evil, okay? And I don't know if that separates me from others, but there is real evil in this world. That evil can be found anywhere, but specifically it's found during wars, the creation and the start of wars, the things, the precipitations that lead up to wars, the stuff that leads, and then during the war. So I despise what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. I do not take sides on the Russia-Ukraine situation. I do not. I do not know enough about this conflict. The things I have seen have been counter to the narrative. And so I am not interested in this. perspective I think my main concern is escalation. The United States cannot fight a war on multiple fronts. The United States has troops committed in Syria, which I don't agree with, and God knows where else. Politicians are just bloodthirsty, just can't wait to be in a war because it's going to bring so much money into their back pockets, and they don't have to fight it. So, I mean, I don't want you to think that this discussion that we're going to have is war related. It's not picking a side. What it is the absolute insanity of world policy and how dumb, how dumb the very smart people really are. So let's get into it. The ICC, the International, what is it called? The International Criminal Court issues a war crimes arrest warrant for Putin for alleged deportation of Ukrainian children. Look, war is bad. Okay. The people that are in the war will say the worst things about the people they're fighting. For some reason, we haven't figured that out in this particular war. We let one side just talk all the time. The other side doesn't get a response. And that's the way it is. But I cannot imagine why you would poke at a bear. I mean, the Soviet Union isn't like a small place. Okay? That thing, you poke at that enough and it lashes out, you're not going to be happy. This to me is the equivalent of poking a bear. You're now saying anytime he travels, anytime outside of his own country, that you're going to attempt to arrest him. Good luck with that. It says the International Criminal Court on Friday issued an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin and Russian official Maria Belova. We're going with that because Lvova, for an alleged scheme to deport Ukrainian children to Russia. Now look, it's an alleged scheme. We don't know. I don't know. But we haven't gotten to the dumb part of the International Criminal Court. The court said there are reasonable grounds to believe Mr. Putin bears individual criminal responsibility for the alleged crimes for having committed them directly alongside others for his failure to exercise control properly over civilian and military subordinates who committed the acts. The ICC charges, which relate to an alleged practice that CNN and others have reported on, are the first to be formally lodged against the officials in Moscow since it began its unprovoked attack on Ukraine last year. I want you to understand that the word unprovoked attack is something that the CIA and disinformation experts have inserted into the discussion. And you know this because there's been other places where there's been unfounded. Just know that this is a plant. The Kremlin has labeled the ICC's actions as outrageous and unacceptable, and that's what they should have done. We consider the very posing of the question outrageous and unacceptable. Russia, like other states, does not recognize the jurisdiction of this court. And accordingly, any decisions of this kind are null and void for the Russian Federation from this point of view of law, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov tweeted on Friday. Look, Russia isn't a part of the ICC. You know who else isn't a part of the ICC? The United States. You know who else isn't a part of the ICC? China. Okay. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Is my wife's my wife's Yugoslavia subject to the International Criminal Court? Yes. Why? I guess because they're a smaller country and they can do and the big powers that be enforce their, absolutely stomp on smaller countries. So that's why. It says, but Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky thanked the ICC for its historic decision, saying in his nightly address on Friday that Ukraine's investigations also suggest the Kremlin had direct involvement in the forced deportation of children to Russia. Now, look, I'm going to say it like this. There's a war going on, and bad things are being done to both sides. Okay. I expect nothing less than for the guy that got the ICC to bring charges. What is he supposed to say? Oh, I don't believe that. We shouldn't do this. No, they're fighting a war, and he's doing a great job with a propaganda war. In the criminal proceedings being investigated by our law officers, more than 16,000 forced deportations of Ukrainian children by the occupier have already been recorded, but the real full number of deportees might be much higher. Such a criminal operation would have been impossible without the order of the highest leader of the terrorist state. So see, now we're using the word terrorists. All these doctrines, all these things the United States starts, ends up just blowing up in our face over and over again. It says, then the message from Friday's warrant must be that basic principles of humanity bind everybody, Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan said in an exclusive interview with CNN later on Friday. Now, think about this. The message from Friday's warrants must be that basic principles of humanity bind everybody. That seems great. Okay. But you've just had a court that's not recognized in a country threaten to arrest. Now, this is not the worst thing that has happened to Vladimir Putin. The United States has flat out said regime change. So, it's just terrible. It says nobody should feel they have a free pass. Nobody should feel they can enact with abandon. And definitely nobody should feel that they can act and commit genocide or crimes against humanity or wars with crimes or war crimes with impunity, he told the CNN international correspondent Clarissa Ward at The Hague. Well, this guy here, Karim Khan, thinks that he can operate with a free pass. He's charging someone it's not even his deal. It's not even his problem. He's making it his problem. He's enacting policies with abandon, and this act and commit genocide or crimes against humanity or war crimes with impunity. Are we to assume that one side isn't committing crimes and the other one is? Like, there's only one side here that's committing war crimes, right? Asked if he believed that one day Putin would be in the dock, Khan pointed out to historic trials of Nazi war criminals, former Yugoslavian President Slobodan Milosevic, and former Liberian leader Charles Taylor, among others. All of them were mighty powerful individuals, and yet they found themselves in courtrooms. How are you going to try someone that doesn't even acknowledge the court system in the first place? Russia, like the U.S., Ukraine, and China. Oh, look at that. Ukraine's not part of the ICC, but yet you've got the leader of Ukraine advocating for the arrest of the leader of Russia. It's not a member of the ICC. As the court does not conduct trials in absentia, any Russian officials charged would either have to be handed over by Moscow or arrested outside of Moscow or outside of Russia. Now, can you imagine? Can you imagine? See, this is what happens. You guys take it to a different level. It says one senior Ukrainian official told CNN on Monday that Kiev has been pushing the ICC for some time to seek arrest warrants against Russian individuals in relation to the war in Ukraine. Why? Ukraine's not part of the ICC either. It's to be, these people are really. The Russian government doesn't deny taking Ukrainian children, has made their adoption by Russian families a centerpiece of propaganda. Well, whose propaganda? In April, the office of Lvova Belova, that kind of rhymes, Lvova Belova, the Russian Commissioner for Children's Rights, said that around 600 children from Ukraine had been placed in orphanages in Kursk and Nizhny Novgorod before being sent to live with families in the Moscow region. As of mid-October, 800 children from Ukraine's eastern Donbass area were living in the Moscow region with many families, according to the Moscow regional governor. Now, look, let's do this. Attacking someone's children is the lowest of the low. And it doesn't matter if it's a war or if it's policy in the United States. Attacking someone's children is the lowest of the low. Now, the issue here is what do the residents of Donbass, where do they believe they belong? I mean, it's such a bad idea to deal with this. Like, this is this is why I'm speaking out, because I don't want people killed. I don't want people being provoked into murder. And I think this is wrong. It says some of the children have ended up thousands of miles and several time zones away from Ukraine. According to the Lvova-Belova office, Ukrainian kids have been sent to live in institutions with foster families in 19 different Russian regions, including Novosibirsk, Omsk, and Tyumen regions in Siberia and Murmansk in the Arctic. Lvova-Belova dismissed the ICC's arrest warrant against her, saying it was great that the international community appreciated her work for children, according to Russian state news agency TASS on Friday. It's great that the international community has reached out to work to help the children of our country, that we do not leave them in the war zones, that we take them out, that we create good conditions for them, that we surround them with loving, caring people, she said to reporters. There were sanctions against all countries, even Japan, in relation to me. Now there's an arrest warrant. I wonder what will happen next, and we will continue to work. Zelensky's chief of staff, Andrei Yermak, said on Telegram on Friday that the arrest warrant issued for Putin was just the beginning. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, thousands of people have been killed. Thousands of people have been killed. They're never getting their lives back on both sides. And you have this guy saying this is just the beginning. The world has received a great signal that the Russian regime is criminal and that its leadership and accomplishments will be brought to justice, Ukrainian General Prosecutor Andriy Kostin said in a post on Facebook on Friday. Now, do you think that Ukraine is free and clear of crime and corruption? Is that what you think? The leadership there is pure as the mountain snow? This means that Putin must be arrested outside of Russia and brought to trial, and world leaders will think twice before shaking his hand or sitting down with him at the negotiating table. Now, look, Putin has a straight line to China, and Putin has a straight line to India, okay? Do you really think that the leaders of China or India are going to worry about what, by the way, those two countries not being part of the ICC, do you think they really care about sitting down and negotiating with Putin? No, they're more than happy to. Whatever works for them economically and best for their people, they're good with. Human Rights Watch called the ICC decision a wake-up call to others committing abuses or covering them up. This is a big day for many victims of crime committed by Russian forces in Ukraine since 2014. Wow. So I don't trust the Human Rights Watch. With these arrest warrants, the ICC has made Putin a wanted man and has taken its first step to end the impunity that has emboldened perpetrators in Russia's war against Ukraine for far too long. Balkis Jara, the NGO's Associate International Justice Director, said in a statement Friday. Now, let me tell you something. Again, I want you to know where I stand on certain things, because I don't want to be confused. I am against all NGOs. I think they're absolutely ridiculous. I think much of the problems in the United States have been created in the United States by NGOs. Too much money has flowed to people with too many subversive philosophies in our own country and throughout the world. And it's being paid for by us, which is stupid. Us being the United States taxpayer. NGOs, get rid of them. Don't need them. And I'm done with the UN, NATO, all of it. Don't want to have anything to do with any of them. These areas are ripe for corruption, and they don't do any good. You may say, well, we do good. We feed like the homeless or something in some foreign country. Not good enough. Not good enough. There's better organizations that can do that. court of last resort. Moscow rejected the warrant on Friday. Well, what were they going to do? Oh, okay, well, we'll just turn him over. Maria Zakharova, a spokesman for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, said the court has no meaning for the country, including from a legal point of view. Russia withdrew from the ICC treaty under a directive signed by Putin in 2016. Russia is not a member of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court and bears no obligation under it. Russia does not cooperate with this body, and possible pretenses for arresting coming from the International Court of Justice will be legally null and void for us. Dmitry Medvedev, former Russian president and deputy chair of the Security Council of Russia, wrote on Twitter, the International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin. No need to explain where this paper should be used, along with the toilet paper emoji. Like snap. Snatch. You got it. You know. News of the warrants was welcomed in the streets of the Ukrainian capital in Kiev on Friday, but some expressed doubts over whether it would result in action. What do you think people are going to say in downtown Kiev? How dumb is this article? Like, what are they going to say? Oh, no, this is over the top. We shouldn't do this. These people want to live. They're in a war zone. Anything they say, people can come in the dead of the night and get rid of them. They're going to say good things about Ukraine. They're going to say bad things about Russia. Find one person that's going to say something negative. Victoria Tachenko, a 64-year-old museum worker, told CNN the warrants were great news, but was realistic about how long legal proceedings could take. I support and welcome the news because Ukraine is fighting an aggressor. The year of war already has shown that even with all the help, this fight is a difficult one. All legal proceedings are long and detailed work. Even if it takes a long time, I'm still optimistic about the outcome. Okay. Meanwhile, Suri Volnyshuk, 40-year-old businessman, said that while he believes the arrest warrants are meaningful and important, he doesn't think they will be seen that way in Moscow. Russia is a criminal country itself and behaves by its own rules. Ukraine is obviously not a criminal country. I would like Putin to be jailed and serve time in prison, just like the Yugoslavian war criminals are jailed in The Hague. Sensitive. ICC President Judge Peter Hoffmansky told CNN on Friday that the ICC's arrest warrants were not magic wands, but that he believed in their deterrence effects amidst Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine as they act as some sort of sanction on the individuals. I mean, seriously, you think that Vladimir Putin's going to have trouble sleeping tonight because some international court that he doesn't even recognize has charged him? This is how insane people are. Ask whether the ICC is asking signatory countries to arrest Putin if he travels to them. Hoffmansky referred to ICC statutes saying all state parties have the legal obligation to cooperate fully with the court, which means that they're obliged to execute arrest warrants issued by the court, and it is indeed one of the most important effects of the arrest warrants, which is a kind of sanction because the person cannot leave the country. I'm telling you, arrest Putin, have the IOCC or the ICC arrest Putin, and see what happens to the ICC headquarters. This is not a good plan. This is not well thought out. These people are not serious. There are 123 states, 2/3 of the states of the world in which you will not be saved. I mean, what do you expect? Like, when do you expect Putin to go to one of these countries to get arrested? And then, by the way, I mean, this is a strange thing to me. Like, do you think Putin just shows up in countries like unannounced and unwelcomed and uninvited, other than Ukraine? But I don't know that he's ever been to Ukraine. I'm just saying, like, do you think if China said, hey, man, let's talk about this oil situation with you and maybe we can work something out, you think he's going to be like, oh, no, that's okay. I'm not going because I could be arrested by the International Criminal Court. Yeah. And then, like, so name a country in the ICC. I'm just going to pick one off the top of my head. Bolivia. They're probably part of it. Bolivia's like, hey, man, hey, Vladimir. hey man, why don't you come visit us? I'm like, we totally won't arrest you. And then he gets there and they arrest him. You know what that would mean? Not good. Not good. It says most countries on earth, 123 of them, are parties to the treaty, but there are very, very large and notable exceptions, including Russia. The ICC is meant to be a court of last resort. It's not meant to replace a country's justice system. This is fascinating because, like, I don't know that this for sure, but in Yugoslavia, in Serbia, do you think that Milosevic would have gotten a different outcome? I mean, anyway, this is so bad. The ICC is meant to be a court of last resort and not meant to replace a country's justice system. The court, which has 18 judges serving 9-year terms, where do they get these people? They just get paid money for nothing. Tries 4 types of crimes: genocide, crimes against humanity, crimes of aggression, and war crimes. Crimes of aggression. What about crimes of passion? The UN on Thursday found in a report that Russia has committed a wide range of violations in international human rights law and international humanitarian law in Ukraine. Great. A bunch of pencil pushers wrote up a report. This solves nothing. The report claims the war crimes perpetrated by the Russians included attacks on civilians and energy-related infrastructure, willful killings, unlawful confinement, torture, rape, and other sexual violence, as well as unlawful transfers and deportations of children. Look, now do Ukraine. Its findings also documented a small number of violations perpetrated by the Ukrainian forces, included likely indiscriminate attacks and 2 incidents qualifying as war crimes, where Russian prisoners of war were shot, wounded, and tortured, the United Nations Human Rights Statement says. So only 2. Oh, man. So what is my bottom line? Why did I bring this to you? Why did I talk about this? Why did I go so far outside of my area of expertise to say something? Again, you have to speak out on topics that matter. If you don't agree with the policy, it will just continue happening. That was one of the biggest problems we've had over the past 5 years. No one says anything. We just let it go. And so it's just assumed that the general population agrees with this garbage. I don't agree with the International Criminal Court. I think it's a terrible idea. I especially don't believe that they should be issuing arrest warrants for leaders of countries that are currently fighting an active war and more than happy to move on and fight anybody else. They're not afraid. Now, if you don't think I'm right, if you feel like you can't do business with me because of what I think in this particular space, I guess I can understand that. But I don't know that I would have gotten your business for anything. You may not have liked me at all. Don't provoke leaders of states that are powerful with stupid half-ass gestures by pencil pushers. Not good plans. Just not. Stop the killing. Like if you want to do something, stop the killing on both sides. And by stop the killing, I mean do something of great consequence on both sides. You say, well, John, they don't know how to do that. That's right, they don't, because it's all part of the war machine. It's terrible. People are being killed daily. And we don't say stop the killing. We say, oh, well, we're going to arrest you if you ever leave your country. It's not good enough. It's a half-assed gesture. Should be treated as such. Now, we're going to do something different again tonight. Twice in a row. Pretty crazy, eh? Okay. So I'm going to come out against two things tonight. I'm going to come out against rent control. Rent control is a horrible idea. Like basic economic principles, by the way, basic economic principles are violated every day. Like the most basic. And they're based, their basic tenets are being violated by either people that are too stupid to know, not smart enough to figure out, these tenets exist, or willfully doing it, which makes it even worse. Anyway, let's get into this article. This is from CNBC, and it's in the, current events side and not in the regular real estate news and opinion side. And I'm not sure why, other than I think it's so important that we discuss it. Rent control policies are gaining support nationwide. Here's why economists still think it's a bad idea. Because they're classical trained economists and they know about shortages and market, market rents and market rates, and it's bad. In December 2022, $1,981 was a typical monthly rent for the United States, a 7.4 increase from the year prior. But while rent has begun to stabilize nationwide, rent affordability remains difficult for many Americans. There's literally nowhere in the country where a tenant is not burdened by their rent. Well, now that's stupid. I'm burdened by my rent as well. Everyone is burdened by rent or a mortgage payment, unless you're not paying a mortgage, and that means you've owned the property free and clear. And that line of thinking is incorrect. In response, support for rent control policies has gained traction. No, it would be that way no matter what. There are people always looking for this kind of stuff. But this isn't the first time such policies have had such a widespread support. After the massive economic disruption caused by World War II, the federal government imposed rent control on roughly 80% of rental housing between 1941 and 1964. Over time, it was abandoned because prominent economists unanimously argued against the policy. That sentiment mostly continues today. So if you have prominent economists saying this is a terrible idea and we should get rid of it immediately, maybe you should listen to them. Over time, there are various surveys of economists, one done by IMG, so only 2% thought that rent control in places like New York and San Francisco were having a positive impact on affordable housing, said Jay Parsons, chief economist at RealPage. But Jay Parsons is soiled. He works at RealPage. They, I don't know how to say it, but watch out for Jay Parsons. Economists argue that rent control would deter developers from building more homes, which would only worsen the housing supply crisis in the United States. They would argue that, but let's stay in the field of rent control in multifamily housing. Let's not even bother jumping into single-family housing. America already suffers from a deficit of 3.8 million homes, especially at low-income price points, according to Habitat for Humanity. Notice that even Habitat for Humanity says low-income price points and not affordable housing, because they know deep in their hearts what affordable housing is, and it's not what people, like, if you want to stop suffering, you don't deal with affordable housing. We have not invested in a nation in building the supply of housing in a variety of communities in a variety of different price points. We've instead relied on the private sector to do so, said Sharon Wilson-Janot, president of the National Multifamily Housing Council. But unless that money comes into the market and investors see that is a better investment than some other kind of equity or some other kind of investment, they're not going to come. That's right. Stimulate the building of more housing. If that's what you believe should be done, Darth Powell on Twitter would say, we have way too much supply and it's all shadow inventory that's causing the issues. I feel like there's a lot of shadow inventory. Can't prove it. Mortgage rate update. 30-year fix came in at 6.55% today. That's lower, 14 basis points lower than yesterday. I want to check something. I'm going to check something. I don't know if it's going to work. Okay, good. I just wanted to check because I wasn't sure if we were getting booted. We're not so far. We might get booted later, but right now we're running good. So let's keep going. That's how bad it is where you have to sit there and check and see if you are going to get booted from YouTube. It's like that dicey because you don't know what the words are that get you booted. So anyway, look, they've said that the mortgage rates are going to come down. I'm scared to death that they do come down and we start another housing bubble or housing purchasing surge in St. Louis at least, because it's already terrible. Let me tell you this. 2 houses this week, people have bought sight unseen, okay, before it came to market. So in the coming soon phase, someone wrote a contract, had never seen the house for way more than asking, because that's the only way the seller would even consider taking the house off the market. And then that's happened twice. Crazy times. I'm just telling you, as a real estate agent, I would never take an offer sight unseen. Like, you have to be able to see the house or had the opportunity to see the house before you write an offer. Now, you say, well, John, what if the person lived in California? And if the person lived in California and they wanted to buy a house here and they only walked through it on Messenger, but I want to say Messenger, but I want to say FaceTime, or, why is that okay? Well, that's okay because they were with their agent and they went through the house. Not having an agent, not having anybody go through the house, and yet still putting in an offer, it's reckless. It's reckless and a bad idea. Bad idea, wouldn't do it. Let's go on to some tweets, shall we? Lawrence Lepard, fix the money, fix the world. I agree with that. He follows me on Deerwood Realty. I am humbled by the follows. It's over. Who'd have thought you could do this to M2 and maintain stable currency? Fork it. Fiat is doomed. This appears bad. This appears bad. And they did a hat tip to McLeod Finance and gold money for the chart. This other fellow, right? Is it the rapid spike in M2 or the rapid contraction in M2 or the combination of both occurring in rapid succession? He says both. What comes next? Rush to gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Who under the age of 70 is going to rush to gold? Most of the wealth is with the elderly. And then somebody wrote, think they're going to cut next week. He says, no, 25 basis points. And then it says, we are here then. He's got us at 1917. And he says, I think we're in 1920. Look, I think this is a terrible thing. I mean, this is absolutely a disaster. And it's going to impact us. We don't know. We don't even know what's going to happen. It's so bad. We're just going to act, and look, people are going to go about their lives every day. They're not going to know anything about this. Like for me, I want to buy a used car. It's going to cost me more than $20,000 to buy a used car, or else I'm going to buy just garbage. I mean, back in the day, I could buy a car for $10,000. It'd be a nice car. What the hell? Nick, I'm going to say Gurley. If I'm insulting him, maybe I'll go to his YouTube channel and actually find out what his last name is. I don't know if it could be Gerly. See, I don't. Anyway, Fred is wrong. Fed recklessly prints $300 billion last week in their effort to bail out the banking system. Sorry about that. Make no mistake, this is inflationary. Money supply will expand. Very bad look for Powell and the Fed. They have lots of explaining to do next week, and they will not explain jack. They don't think you're entitled to know what they're doing. The most concerning thing here is the message it sends to Americans. How can Powell be credibly fighting inflation if he's printing so much money? The answer is he can't, because he's not. And Peter Schiff was on this years ago. He said they're either going to wreck the economy or they're not going to be able to fight inflation. Which do they choose? They're not going to wreck the economy, so they're not going to fight inflation, so they're going to wreck the economy trying. All right. In order to fix the damaging effects of the $300 billion, the Fed needs to come out swinging at the next meeting on March 22nd. I would announce a doubling of the pace of quantitative tightening to help offset the bailout and do a 50 basis point interest rate hike a la the ECB. Now, look, no one says that's going to happen. Like, no, he's in fantasy land. Fed will risk plunging the economy in a deep deflationary recession by doing that, especially with the bank psyche so fragile. But ultimately, we're going to have to get to a recession one way or the other. The question is if it's driven by deflation or inflation. I think that's an absolutely spot-on observation. Some are trying to argue that the $300 billion in money the Fed printed isn't inflationary, which is ridiculous. They say it's a bank rescue loan that needs to be paid back, and the Fed charges interest, so it's not really free money. Those things are actually true, but the problem is with the thinking is twofold. One, pumping $300 billion into bank account balance sheets or bank balance sheets will increase the money supply, and two, it sends a message to the financial system that the Fed will come running and save the day. Both implications are inflammatory. This is correct. Banks really hold the cards here. Will they release that $300 billion into the economy via increased lending, or will they hold on to it and continue contracting lending standards like they were before SVB? Yes, that's what they're going to do. They're going to hold it. It's not tough to say. It says, tough to say. Up until yesterday, my money was on banks cutting lending more because of the SVB collapse, increasing odds of deflationary recession. But then seeing the $300 billion suddenly appear out of thin air from the Fed complicates things. Maybe banks feel more brazen now. A lot comes down to the message Powell delivers next week. It better be clear and forceful, underscoring how the Fed's number one priority is inflation. With concrete plans to reduce the balance sheet expansion that just occurred. And Darth Powell, the first one on there, says not true. I follow Darth Powell and I follow this fellow, okay? And we have disagreement on our show. We don't know the answers. I don't know the answers. I don't know all the answers. Okay? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think it's good, but who knows? Amy Nixon, as credit tightens, a reminder of how deflationary busts play out. You don't waltz in and buy a cheap house in 3 months. You hope to keep your job and wait out an ugly market where asset prices fall and you can only guess at the bottom. Hope to qualify for a loan. This was in relation to, or a reply to a tweet. Sabin Mortgage, all low down payment quality jumbos and ARMs tightened by raising rates to be higher than 30-year fixed. This is most every lender, regional, small, community bank, and large. And then he writes, in high cost markets, the issue is the products that have tightened. Jumbo and non-conforming are the products the move-up buyers use. If those rates blow out or products restricted, they stay frozen in their home for longer, exaggerating inventory issues while causing a feeding frenzy in the Fannie Freddie FHA space, given how loose credit will continue to be there as long as the local jobs remain stable. Amy Nixon says, I agree with all of this. The last sentence is key. Credit tightening is recessionary. So many people I know personally lost their jobs from 2009 to 2010. The lucky ones found a new job and were able to buy homes in 2011 and 2012. We bought in 2013 after the recovery had begun. I don't know. I don't even know. I said that, though, I said that, though. So, moving on. The real fly on Twitter. 200 banks at risk of bankruptcy, according to the Wall Street Journal. Not good. Not good. Now, look, this is a rumor. Monday, things could be totally fine. Let's speak to disinformation for a moment. This could be wrong. It could also not play out the way they say. Jim Bianco, central banks can't do anything. It's on the FDIC to go unlimited on deposit insurance. Now, before you respond by saying this will forever change banking and we will have a moral hazard problem, we talked about moral hazard. We already changed banking forever, and we now have a two-tiered banking system with giant moral hazard problem. Regional banks are going to keep bleeding out deposits. No business with an account well above $250K is staying with them. They're no longer a depositor. They're an unsecured creditor. Wells Fargo's Mike Schumacher said, financial stability concerns remain front and center. We expect the Fed and other central banks to do whatever is needed to mitigate tail outcomes. Not good. Markets in mayhem. The best choice for banks is to raise the interest rate paid on deposits so they can attract more cash. Offering 3.5% savings rate is much more ideal solution than borrowing from the Fed at 4.75%. I expect that more banks will raise deposit rates to attract customer funds. Think about it from a bank perspective. Perhaps they have a debt portfolio that leads 3 to 4%. The negative carry cost imposed by the Fed's 4.75 lending facility is quite expensive versus raising the interest rate paid on their savings account and breaking out even for a bit. If you think the Fed is engaging in a new round of QE, it's time to analyze the situation more closely. The Fed is not buying assets. They're lending against them at an unfavorable rate for most banks versus the asset's own yield. This isn't some resurgence of a reflationary policy. Instead, what it is actually doing, and I know some will find this shocking, is providing the Fed with the runway they need to keep tightening. Stabilizing the banking system gives them cover to keep trying to crush inflation. Yes, I know this won't be a popular take, but it's the truth. The reality is that the Fed has a lot more work to do. And I don't think they're giving up on that. Instead, I think they're trying to provide the basis from which they can continue their higher for longer mantra. In a nutshell, what the Fed is doing isn't really bullish for risk assets or rates. It's quite the opposite. By stabilizing the banking system and encouraging banks to take less risks, the Fed has induced further tightening near term and has cover to honor the higher for longer. I don't know. Like kindergarten says like the bank gets your money and then it lends out your money to make money. Okay? We're not in kindergarten with this stuff. This is whacked. I have no idea what's going on. But I mean, don't you feel like banking's been broken for a long time anyway? When's the last time you've ever really honestly considered getting a CD at a bank? Or when have you ever looked at your savings account and go, oh my God, they really paid a lot of interest that month? Like the whole point of a savings account is to try and, make a little money, and there's nothing going that way. This is, I'm not like, look, I'll tell you what, it is. I'm an hour in. I've been busting my hump all day. We're going to read some tweets. We're not going to do any news analysis tonight. I'm just tired. I'm probably not even going to, I'll write it up. I'll write up the show, but I don't want to. I want to just be done for the night. But let's do two more. It says, Brokerage 101, if your phone rings, you pick it up even on a ski lift. It gives you the flexibility to travel and have those opportunities to vacation, but still do your job. I agree 100%. I take my work phone with me. I was in Bosnia. I was happy to answer the phone if someone called. It says, I'm really protective of my time. If it's not in a scheduled portion of my time or for business development and it's not a key client, I'm not answering it. And then he writes back, I think this is true when you're senior and established like yourself. I'm still trying to get like you. Counterexample, you're on a ski lift. I just called you. You didn't pick up. Speak next week. Enjoy the trip. Did you? We need to talk. So if I did miss, I'm in the mountains, so service is wanking. I'm sorry. Counterexample, that's why I always leave voicemails. Somebody else wrote, I got an inbound $5 million multifamily lead last time I was out on a chairlift. Glad I picked up. There's something about taking a short vacation that attracts new business. Not sure why, but it's a thing. It's true. I picked up business because I was on vacation. I don't understand why that works that way. You tell me, agents, brokers, you tell me, what would you do if somebody called? Would you not pick up the phone? People are protective of their time. I'm not as protective as I should be. And I get so many garbage calls. And especially lately, I feel like the real estate market is having problems because I'm getting calls from so many technology vendors about, lead generation and lead referral services. So there's that. Finally, Broke Agent on Twitter. You just got home and you realize there's a key in your pocket from a showing that was an hour away. Been there. One time I locked the key in the house and I called the agent and I was like, I just did the dumbest thing. And she said, you locked the key in the house, didn't you? And I said, yep. She's like, okay, I understand. I'll go fix it. And I appreciated that. Because it was dumb and I did it. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to go. It's 10:19 here Central Time. I got some showings tomorrow. We didn't even go over my showings tonight. We'll go over them tomorrow too. I don't know. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you on the next one, which should be tomorrow, but it might not. It's the weekend. Happy St. Patrick's Day.